Hello and welcome once again to my YouTube channel where I'm gonna be teaching you on full stack web development with Python, Django, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Bootstrap. So we're gonna be building a full stack web application that has the functionalities of Airbnb, Booking.com, and Uber. If you're a complete beginner, I suggest you go back to my previous three videos where I have introduced what programming is. I've introduced all the tools and technologies that we're gonna use on this project. We've also installed Django and started our development server. So we also built set up our homepage where we displayed this welcome message, hello world, you just created your first web application with Django. So for today, we're gonna be setting up our static files. We're gonna be linking our CSS, link our JavaScript. We're also gonna be installing Bootstrap on our project. So what is Bootstrap? Bootstrap is a CSS framework that has a mobile first paradigm. So it's gonna help us build our front end better and easier. So we're gonna be using it. It's one of the most popular CSS framework in development. We also have Tailwind CSS, but we're not gonna be using Tailwind CSS. We're gonna be using Bootstrap framework on this project. And then in some cases, we're also gonna write raw CSS code to make further modifications. So how do we install Bootstrap? There are two ways to install Bootstrap. You can install Bootstrap through the CDN, Content Delivery Network, or you can, download the minified version of Bootstrap on your um, on your project. Now, let's just go to the websites to download our Bootstrap. You go to getbootstrap.com. So I'm just gonna show you, and then the link is getbootstrap.com. So you go to docs, and then when you go to docs, you go to download. So here you have the CDN link. Now, if you use this link, it means you need internet connection for your Bootstrap to work. Because look, it's calling from a link, http slash cdn dot blah blah blah. But then you can also use this, the compiled version of Bootstrap, which does not need internet to work. So I'm going to teach you how to download this compiled version and how to use it on your project. So yeah, click on download, and then it's going to go to your download folder. This is it, Bootstrap 5.3.3. Yeah. So what you're going to do, just cut it, and then you open your projects folder. This is my project folder, book and ride. Open yours. Now go to your app, your project level app, which is book and ride as well. Double click on it and then create a folder here called static. You can call it whatever you like, but I just love calling mine static. So I click on new, I click on folder. I call it static, and then I double click on it and paste the downloaded Bootstrap zip, and then I can extract everything here. So it's been extracted. Now what you're gonna do, double click on it, open the CSS, delete everything aside bootstrap.main. Delete everything, we don't need it. You can keep it if you want, but if you keep it, it means that your project folder is just gonna be heavier. So I'm just gonna delete everything aside bootstrap.main. Now, I'll simply press Ctrl A and then on highlight bootstrap.min. Yeah, and I'm just gonna delete the rest. I don't need the rest, so it's left only bootstrap.min. Now go back and then open the JS folder. Do the same thing. You're just gonna delete everything aside bootstrap bundle.min. So I'm still gonna highlight everything and then I press on highlight it and then I'm just gonna delete everything. Yeah, so I have only bootstrap.bundle.min. I'll go back. Now I'll cut these two folders, JS and CSS. I'll cut it and I'll take it to my static folder. Yeah, this is it, static. And then I'm just gonna paste the two. So I don't need this again, and I don't need this as well. I extracted this inside this, and I got my CSS, JavaScript. So I'm just gonna delete this folder. I'm gonna delete this file. So I have just CSS and JS. That is it. Inside my CSS, I have bootstrap.min. And then inside my JS, I have bootstrap.bundle.min. That's all I need to do for now. So I'm just gonna close it. If I open my VS Code and expand this book and write folder, I'm gonna say, look at it, static, CSS and JS. So I've downloaded the minified version of Bootstrap to this project. We're gonna call it up. And then before we start adding the Bootstrap link, I'm just gonna talk briefly on static files and dynamic files. So static files are files that are not served from your server. For example, images, your JavaScript, your CSS, your fonts, they are known as static files. They are not served from the server. While dynamic files are those that are served from the server. So for example, if you create an account on Facebook, and then you log into your Facebook, you see welcome Evans. So Evans is dynamic because it's calling from the server. It's based on my input. While registering, I registered Evans as my name, so it's calling up my name. You see it. So that is dynamic. If I post if I post a video or an image on Facebook, and then I go to my wall, I see my images and a video because I posted it. Those are calling from the server. So those are dynamic files because they're calling dynamically from the server. But there are also static files that I can just upload. Maybe something like a logo is a static file. It doesn't call from the server, and other images. So we're gonna configure our static files, and yeah, and then configuring static files will enable us manage our files and our medias very well. So that's what we're gonna be doing. So I've just shown you how to download Bootstrap on your project. Now, the next thing you're gonna do, we don't have this before. We don't have this. We're just gonna set up our basic HTML boilerplate templates. So this is what we had in our last lectures. We just have hello world. You just created your first web application with Django. So if you want to set up a basic HTML boilerplate, it's simple to do. Press Shift and exclamation sign, and then you press enter. So it's gonna generate our basic HTML boiler template for us. Now, if shift and exclamation sign doesn't work for you, simply go to your web browser and type HTML boilerplates. Boilerplates. So you don't need to worry yourself writing these codes. With time, eventually you can write it, but it doesn't matter. Just go to HTML boilerplates and then you can see free code camp. You can use anyone here. Click on basic HTML templates and then scroll down. So this is the same code. It's exactly the same thing. So you can copy it or you use exclamation sign, shift, exclamation sign and enter. So it's just gonna generate the boiler template for you. So here, this is our title. This is our title tag. And then this is the closing tag. You can just change the name of your documents. Maybe I call it Evans Book and Ride, for example. And then inside this body, this is where all my contents are gonna be. So I'm just gonna cut everything here and then put it inside my body. So if I run this now, it's still gonna show just hello world. You just created your first web application. Nothing will change. But I've set up my basic HTML boiler template. Now go to File and click on Save All. Yeah. So I told you if you want to run your server, you just press Python manage.py run server in the previous lectures, and then it's gonna give you this URL link to follow. So I'm gonna stop my server with Control C. Yeah, then I'll just type it again. So you see Python manage.py run server. If you don't understand this, I suggest you go back to my previous videos on this channel, and then you're gonna see where I taught on how to run your server, how to set up your development server and others. So you press enter now. Yeah, and then you can copy this link and paste on your URL, or you hold down control and click on the link. It's still gonna open it up. So this is it. Hello world, you just created your first web application. Now, what we need to do, we've downloaded Bootstrap, but we need to call it up. This is our Bootstrap inside the CSS and JavaScript folders, but we need to call it up. So how do we link it? If you don't link it, they're not gonna work. So you go to the head tag. This is my head, beginning of my head tag. This is the closing section. So everything inside is inside this head tag. So yeah, I can just come below the title, press enter, and then I'm just gonna type the codes gradually so you understand. Open less than sign, and then you type link. So sometimes depends on how your VS Code is configured, it's just gonna give you suggestions. So I'm just gonna go down link, that is it. Link, you give space and you type well, and then you give space. You say equals to, say this is quotes, double quotes, and then you type inside it style sheets. Now you type href. So I'm taking it easy so you understand. When you type after the style sheets, if I press space and type H, it's gonna give me suggestion. If I move down and press enter, it's gonna generate the equals to sign for me. But if it doesn't, you can just type everything out. As time goes on, I'll show you how to enable IntelliSense feature on your VS Code. I can press enter, it opens two quotation for me, and inside it, I call my folder name. My folder name is called static, right? So I'll say static. Look, this is my folder name. Inside book and ride is static. Static / CSS, my folder. CSS / the name of your file. bootstrap.main.css forward slash bootstrap bootstrap dot main dot css, and then you press greater than symbol. It's as simple as that. So I took it very slow so you're gonna understand. I can close this space if I want. It doesn't matter if there is space or not. So you say link rel equals style sheets space href equals static css bootstrap.main.css. This is how to link our bootstrap css to our project. Now, you don't need to type this code again for the next one. You can just copy it and paste, and then you modify it. That is if you have more CSS codes. If you have more CSS style sheet, you need to link, which we're gonna link, as we keep on building the project. So now for the JavaScript, you can also call it here. You can also type it here, but it's advisable you type it below the body. So just before this closing body tag, keep your cursor there, and then you type this code. So I'm just gonna take it easy so you can see what I'm doing. You open less than symbol, you type scripts source src, and then where is your JavaScript located? Is in static slash inside JS folder, JS slash, what is the name of the file now? The name of the file is bootstrap dot bundle dot main dot js. It's as simple as that, and then you press your greater than sign. Once you do that, it will close the script tag for you. If it doesn't close it, you can type this manually. So we have successfully linked our JavaScript file and our CSS, Bootstrap JavaScript and Bootstrap CSS. I hope you understand. So look at this code very well, and then I'm also going to attach this code to the project so you can download it. Now I'll simply click on File, click on Save All, and then I go to my page and refresh it. You're not going to see much changes because we've not done anything, but you can see the font has changed a little bit. It wasn't what it was. So I'm going to remove it. I'm just going to cut off this so you see it again how it looks. Press on Save All. I'm going to refresh my page. Look at my font. I'm just going to, you see. But when I add my Bootstrap CSS, it has little effects, which means our Bootstrap was installed successfully. Yeah. So now we will go ahead and configure our static files on our projects. Now, to configure our static files, on Django, you have to go to your project level folder. This is our project level folder. book and ride. Click to expand it, and then you go to settings.py. Now, when you go to settings.py, you see a lot of files. Just scroll down to where you will see static URL. So below this static URL, just press enter, and then I'm just gonna leave a comment here. Configure static files. So just use capital letters also, and then you type static underscore root equals base dir is giving me suggestion / quote static. So this static is the name of this folder that we created that houses our CSS and JavaScript. This is one, and then press enter, go to the next line. Now type static files underscore dirs equals, press enter. So you open square brackets, and then you close the square bracket, you press enter. Inside it, you type the name of your project, book and ride, this one here, book. I'm just gonna use, yeah, this one, book and ride, book and ride, / static. Put them all in single quotes. Yeah, you get it. So we're saying our static folder is in this folder, our project level app, book and ride, / static, / static. Now, this is to configure our static files. I'm gonna give another comment again to configure our media files configuration. Now, in Python, you can use hash for comments. So comments are not executed. Look at this. These comments are not executed. They're not part of the code. They just remind you of a particular section of code. Now, to configure our media files, you type media underscore URL equals / single quote first, / media, and then / again. This is a code to configure media URL, and then you press enter, type media underscore roots equals, you type base dir, yeah, / single quotes media. So we are saying our media files should be stored inside a folder called media. Now, when you do this, go to your project level directory here and create a new folder called media. So I'm just gonna collapse this. When I collapsed it, I have book and ride folder, I have env, I have media folder, I have templates, I have home.html, dbsql, python manage.py, and notes. Now, I think before these lectures, I've already created the media folder, but I'm just gonna delete it. I'm just gonna delete it. So I don't have any media folder now, but I'm gonna create it. Now, this is how to create it. Don't create it inside any of this folder. Just make sure that nothing is highlighted. If you click on create new folder now, it's gonna go inside this book and write folder. So on highlight everything by clicking on this empty space here. Click on the empty space. So you have two ways you can create the folder. You can either right click on this empty space, new folder, or you come to this place and click new folder when nothing is highlighted. I'm taking this lesson low level because of the new guys that I have. There are some people that are trying to learn programming that don't have any knowledge about it. So I'm just gonna be as low level as possible for the meantime until they come up to speed. So I'm just gonna create a new folder. I call it media. Now, so this is it. I highlight everything. I right click on this empty space and I say new folder. I call it media. The name I indicated here, media. So this can be anything, this can be any, what you call this should be what you call this, and that is should be the name of the folder you create. So I create my media folder. Now this is how to configure. I've configured my static file. I've also configured my media files. But there is something that is left. Now go to your app level folder. This is my app, book and write, or my project folder. Remember at the beginning we did Python manage.py, start projects, book and write. So this is the project that we started. Go open it, go to urls.py. When you go to urls.py, in the last lectures, I showed you how to create your home views and how to link the URL. If you don't know what this is, I suggest you go back to the previous lectures before you continue with this lecture. Now, when you open your urls.py, just after this square brackets, keep your cursor there. I'm just gonna take this code easy so you understand. You press plus sign, and then you type static, small letter, static, small letter, static. Open brackets, type settings dot media URL, media underscore URL, comma, documents underscore goods equals settings dot media underscore goods. So you type plus static, you open brackets, settings dot media URL, comma, document underscore goods equals settings dot media underscore URL. Now we're having some errors because we need to do some imports here. Come to this top. Here we've imported some libraries and we also imported our views. So you can import settings here and you also import static. Now type from django.config, just gonna use small letter, from django.config, conf, from django.config. Look at the code. you say import settings. Once I imported settings, you see this error on this settings left. Now I can delete it. If I delete it, you see the error on the settings will come back. Type settings, that's it. Now we still have one error, static, because we've not imported static. The same thing you say from Django dot config dot urls dot static import static. That's it. So look at this code very well. Even if I'm going to attach my code to this video, I suggest you keep typing these codes by yourself. Don't do copy and paste. After some time, the codes are going to come naturally to you and everything is gonna sink in. Now we've done with our media files configurations. We're done with our static files configurations. We've done importing our um, we've done importing our bootstrap, bootstrap CSS, bootstrap JavaScript. We've also linked it on our homepage. Now, we also created a folder called media. So every image that is going to be uploaded on this project is going to be stored on these media files. Every image, every PDF, every video, because on this app we're building, hotels and individuals can list their rooms for rent because we're building an Airbnb style app. Drivers can register on our platform, and before the registration process is gonna be approved, we're gonna see their license. If you're a business, you're gonna upload the business documents or your license, and then the admin is just gonna approve it. So this is a test application that we're building. So obviously, no one is gonna upload their live document and all the rest. So we're just gonna be using dummy data for illustration. But in the event that you register your company and you want to convert this application to a full-blown live application, and then you're just gonna have the necessary permits in your jurisdiction to um, allow people to register on your platform with the necessary document while the admin checks the document, do KYC checks and approve each vendor or each driver, each hotel or each individual that wants to list their property on your website or wants to be a driver on your website, stuff like that. Now, every media file is gonna go inside here, this media folder. So once we come to this media folder, we're just gonna see everything and it's gonna be arranged. So if we are uploading image for driver, we're gonna write the code that will create a subfolder for driver image, and all the images will be there. Image categories, everything is just gonna be arranged. So we can easily sort out images, videos, files, and all the rest. Now, the last thing that you need to do before your static files configuration will be complete is to run a code called collectstatic command. So if your server is running, you just press Ctrl C. You click on this terminal and press Ctrl C. It's gonna stop the server. So once you see this address, that means your server is no longer running. Alternatively, you can close here. If you close here, you come back to these three dots, come to your terminal and new terminal. Yeah, your server will close and then it's gonna start a new terminal for you. So you type Python manage.py collect static. So this collect static command is gonna create another folder inside here and duplicate your static files. So I'm just gonna press enter now. Now, before you do that, before you run your collect static command, make sure that everything is saved. Click on save all. I'm just gonna close my terminal and then start it again. So we don't have any static folder here aside from this static folder that we created that has our CSS and our JavaScript. But when we run this collect static command, it's gonna create another folder and it's gonna copy everything inside the static folder inside the new folder. So I'm just gonna type python manage.py collect static and press enter. You see it has created another folder called static, and inside this static folder it copied our CSS folder that we created inside here, our JS folder, and then created another folder called admin. Now, this is used for deployments. When we want to deploy our application at the final stage, you can run collect static command again so that all your static files will be migrated to this folder, and then you can deploy this static folder separately. Maybe you can deploy it on S3 buckets or wherever you want to deploy it, and then you deploy your code somewhere else. Or you can also deploy them S3 bucket, which runs on Amazon, and then deploy your Python code on AWS as well. So this is what the collect static command does. It has migrated all your static files and created a new folder called static. Now, before we end this lecture, I'm also going to show you how to um, include jQuery inside this project. Now, I told you that we're going to be using vanilla JavaScript, which is pure JavaScript, and then we're also going to use jQuery. Now, jQuery is also JavaScript, but it's a framework in JavaScript, and it makes JavaScript code shorter. In some instances, while we're developing this project, we're gonna use vanilla JavaScript because it doesn't need any link. We don't need to call any CDN. We don't need to install any plugin. We don't need to call any library or use any library. So it is super fast, lightning fast. But in some instances, we're gonna use jQuery because it's gonna make the code shorter. So I'm just gonna include jQuery to this project, and it's very simple. Just go to your web browser and type jQuery CDN. So when you go to jQuery CDN, you can get the CDN from these sites, or you can get it on W3 Schools. I'm just gonna click on this, but sometimes uh, it's easier to find on W3 Schools. I'm just gonna go to W3 Schools. Now, this is the CDN. So there are various CDN. You can use Google CDN if you want. So I'm just gonna copy this script here, copy here, script, and then make sure you copy this closing script as well. Copy it. Look, on this HTML code is inserted within the head tag. This is the beginning of the head tag, and this is the end of the head tag, and then the CDN is inserted in between. So I've copied it. Go to your project here. At the top here where you linked your style sheet, just here, press enter, you paste it. It's as simple as that. Now, whenever you write any jQuery code, it's gonna work on this project because we've linked the jQuery CDN. Just like with Bootstrap, we can also install the minified version, just the way we downloaded this minified version of a Bootstrap, and then called it here, called the CSS here, and also called the JavaScript here. So you can do that with jQuery, but there's no point for now. I'll just use the CDN link for it. So yeah, this is it. So I'm just gonna close, save all, and then yeah. So on my next video, we're gonna build our front end. We're gonna build our home page, and then we're also gonna build our database for vendor registration. We're gonna build our database for customer registration, vendors like hotels. If hotels want to register on our site to list their their rooms, they can register. We're gonna create a database for it. We're gonna create a customer registration page. If you want to book a hotel, you want to book a ride, yeah, you can register. And then we're also gonna create our login and logout functionalities. That is what we're gonna be doing in our next video. So I'm gonna see you again. Just try out this code. If you have any challenge, don't forget to write a comment on the comment section, and I'm gonna respond to you. I'm also gonna attach this code as a link on the video. So if you have any challenges, you have any mistakes, you just look at my code, try to resolve it yourself. And then if you have any challenges, you can let me know. Thank you and see you again very soon. Bye bye.